Hey everybody, Steven here, and today looking at the Govee M1 Lightstrip. I'm going to cover the specs here in a second, but this is actually going to replace the LED light strips that I currently have behind the 3D wall panels that I have behind my desk. With this does have a silicone sleeve on it, and this has 60 LEDs per meter, so it's supposed to have double the brightness. On the box it says 150 lumen, 360 degrees, but they don't mention if that is per LED light or per meter. I found different numbers online and they don't have this listed on their website, so I don't know what that is exactly. It is incredibly bright though. But in the box you're going to get the LED light strip, some extra 3M tape. You have the user manual, some alcohol wipes. These are just simple instructions. And then you have the power brick with the power cable, and then some clips if this doesn't stick. It has sticky tape on the back of it that actually works really good, but in case you need to mount it where it may fall off, you have those to help. The cable length here is very long, so you don't have to worry about whether or not this can reach somewhere, but it does have a power brick where some of them don't. And then we have our just basic controller. This has a thin clear film over the top, the plastic part, that the other ones have just been solid white, so this is interesting, just a little different. You can control a little bit from the device, but really you're going to want to connect this to the app. Now this is 16.4 feet. You can double this up on the same power brick, but then beyond that I believe you would need to just basically get another power brick and another M1 strip. That means this would be 32.8 feet. They also make like a 6.5 feet that you could add on to this. So I think with that you could get a bunch of smaller strips if you're needing to veer this off in different directions. You can cut this at set intervals. I've been trying to track down some more detailed information on this product, both on Govee's website and then just online in general. It's hard to find specifics with, hey, what's the length that you can cut this at? Because it has to be at these set points on the strip that have just, you could see the soldering of it. It has to be right there. You just can't go up and cut this somewhere. But with that, what are the intervals with that? What is the total lumens of this per meter or for each light? They don't specify a lot of things, which is kind of a bummer. I just figured it being a bigger company, they would have more of these details out there. Moving on though to cover the last little bit of specs, this is 4-in-1 RGB IC plus technology, so you get the RGB plus the tunable whites. For the total lifespan of the LED lights, it has 20,000 hours, and then you get a 12-month warranty with this product as well. Now I mentioned I'm not going to cover all of the details of what this product can do in the app. I got this for a very specific reason. I mentioned, hey, I'm replacing these LED lights behind the 3D wall panels that I have in my office. With those though, they are older and they don't connect to my Dreamview Pro. The M1 here will. So taking that effect where it's using the camera to pick up on the colors that I have on screen and then just mimicking those with the light bars and the light strip, it's actually going to now sync to this M1 LED light strip. So I get to expand that lighting effect out even further across my office and the setup that I have. Now this is the Infinite Journeys from Clinton Jones here, where he challenged a bunch of different artists to create a particular scene, and I'm using this to showcase how the Dreamview Pro utilizes the camera that's on top of the monitor, and then it displays those again to the two light bars that are behind this monitor, and then I have the LED light strip actually attached to the back end of my desk. Typically this will coil up and you'll put it on the back of the monitor, but I changed my setup, and I will have a link for the review that I did on this product in the description if you want to check that out. But as you can see, it's just doing it to those. The 3D light strip that I have behind the 3D wall panels, that's set to blue, so it's not changing colors right now. It's just set to that color, and I can't link these two products like I can with the M1. So this is the two LED light strips that I had before, and I'll actually have a video in the description as well that showcases the process of me building the 3D wall panel setup that I have, because we framed everything out and then we put those on there, and I wanted it to just kind of emit that light around without actually seeing the LED lights, and it's been great. But now with this M1 light strip, I'm gonna get a more immersive experience compared to what this currently can do, which is just the presets in the app and then choosing set colors. Here you can see the reaction from the two light bars and then the light strip that is attached to the desk with the specific clips that you need in order to actually connect it. Disregard the cable management here. I haven't had a chance to clean this up, but again, you can just see right now how the lights are jumping. The far end of this is actually the Logitech G560 speakers. They have their own settings that does a screen sampling effect. It's taking the colors off the screen and still doing that exact same thing of mimicking those to the lights that are on the speakers, but it also just feeds into my current setup. Installing this was quick and easy to do. It took about 5 to 10 minutes to take off the old ones and then put this new one on. The stickiness on the back has held really good, and then if I need to, I always have the clips as a backup. You can see the difference in the density of the LED lights here though. It is much brighter than even the two strips that I had, and it looks really good in person. So this is the end result here. Like I said, it looks incredible in person because now everything is synced together, but I do want to look at the app and how you do get this set up while I run the Infinite Journey video again. So inside of the app, we have the M1. We also have the Dreamview Pro. I'm going to click on that because the movie watching Dreamview is what you're going to click on. This now syncs everything together. So you do have to connect whatever device that you want to layer in, and this is the global settings here. So it's connecting to all this, and you can see at the bottom I have the B-roll lights. I'm not connecting those, and then the Office M1. These are what I've named these devices, but you get to manage the device there. With this, we have a lot of different settings: brightness, saturation, part versus all, which I'm going to showcase here in a second, game versus movie, and then again control the device, or sound effects. I won't actually showcase the sound effects in this video, which just pops the lights with any type of sound that it picks up on. Once you're going to set the area settings here, all these different lights, you need to coordinate where is this located within your room or wherever you're at. And so you can see here the Office M1, I've set this to 9, 10, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you can see right there where they're at. So 9 and 10 on the left hand side, 2 and 3 on the upper hand side, and then 4 and 5 on the right hand side. Clicking on controlled devices here, you have the list of anything that you could sync here and ones that can't. My Office one at the bottom, those are the old RGB light strips. You can't control that with this. It'll say, hey, this device won't work. So I just don't like the fact that it's listed. It shouldn't even make the list. The other devices will. You can enable up to 5 devices with this also, but no more than 5. Now I did notice that you can't calibrate the color here, meaning change the color temperature to lean more blue versus red like you can with just the Dreamview. Once you adjust that, so if you backtrack, it will actually shut off the M1, but I did notice that it seems to keep whatever that preset is for the regular portion of the Dreamview Pro, and then it translates that to the M1. You just have to turn it back on. The other thing is for the game mode, you choose whichever preset you want, which you have story, action, shoot, and racing. I've left this on action the whole time. And then again, it will translate how it's doing those effects to the M1, but it shuts it off when you're doing these specific adjustments to the Dreamview Pro. You have to go back and then turn everything on again. And it seems like the Dreamview Pro is the governing device. You're just attaching these other devices to it, which makes sense because it's the one that actually has the camera, which is picking up on the colors that you're showcasing on whichever screen. Moving on, let's showcase some gameplay footage, and I'm going to be making various adjustments. So we're going to adjust the brightness and saturation because this will affect, essentially to me, how immersive this feels. Because if you get oversaturated, it's kind of, cartoony-ish versus, hey, I want to make this so it feels more accurate to the colors that are depicted on screen. And then we're going to look at part versus full for the lights and how that is translated to games. And last with this, I'll be showcasing game versus movie mode. So I've actually been showcasing Doom Eternal. With this, it's 100% brightness. We have 50% saturation. This is in game mode, and we're doing part versus all. Here in a second, I'm going to pause this and then shift it over to all. What you'll notice the primary difference is those different pops that are more distinct in part. So you have those sections that aren't being blended together like all. All, it tries to blend those colors more, where in part, again, it makes it very distinct with those pops. And depending on the game, that may be too intense for some people, because it is a lot going on, where all will still have pops of color as you're seeing right now, but it tends to blend them all together so it just looks smooth, where part doesn't. So this has been Doom Eternal. Let's shift now to Destiny 2 and look at adjustments with brightness and saturation in part, and then we'll showcase all with this as well. But saturation, as you drop it, and this is what I was talking about earlier, as you adjust saturation and brightness too, you can make this more color accurate, which can be more immersive depending on the game. So here we're seeing, hey, we drop the brightness down, the saturation down, shooting it back up. What's that gonna do? And I do encourage anybody that gets this, test this, toy around with it a little bit, find the one that seems the best fit for you. This is a lot, like 100% brightness and saturation is a lot. I usually do saturation more at 50% for most games, and then I can drop the brightness down to 60 to 80. A lot of times I do just leave it at 100, but sometimes I'll be playing a game and it's just, I want it to be more color accurate than this massive pop. So again, I will adjust these things to make it more immersive. And now I'm shifting over to movie mode. That is going to make these colors blend together even more. So it's like that next step up. Game mode typically distinguishes the colors, obviously in part, but it still does it some in all, where this, it wants to, in movie mode, blend all of this together a lot more. So it's just, you have these tiers to these things. So again, if you want a lot of separation in it, go game mode with part. You could scale that a little bit and then go all. Or go movie mode and then you have part and all, and then with those two it's still blending the colors a lot more than in game mode. Now you're seeing me do game mode, all, and then just these adjustments to brightness and saturation here. Overall, personally, I don't use part mode quite as much. I typically use all because I like the blending of the colors for the more immersive experience. Every now and then I'll throw it in part, but a lot of times with these faster paced games, it just tends to be too much visually for me, but I still like the look of it. So I go back and forth with these, but usually for me, all, and then in game mode. Every now and then I'll switch it over to movie mode if it doesn't feel like it's blending the colors quite as much. So now just looking at some more fast-paced footage of me actually playing the game. Obviously game mode, and then we have part here. So this is where, to me, it's pretty chaotic. I don't use it as often, again, because of that, but it still looks pretty cool, especially if you sit back. But I'm actually usually sitting closer to all of this than the camera position is. The camera, just to get everything in frame, is probably back another 3 to 4 feet than I would normally sit. Still looks really, really cool though. And then now we're gonna do the all mode. Still game mode, but all. You can see if it gets a really big pop of a dominant color, you'll see it just affects all of the lighting here. So looks really, really good. I have that tendency, like I said, to lean more towards this, but you can also soften this with the brightness and saturation so it just isn't as much color, because that can be overwhelming sometimes too. But that's all going to be dependent upon your setup. I'm running a lot of lights with this. But let's shift over now to Cyberpunk 2077, and you can see the difference between part and all in that game, because it has so much color with it already. This is where I have a tendency to lean more towards just full brightness and saturation, because I want to be fully immersed in the game and I want to feel more like I'm there, and you have all the neon colors in the game, so it just feeds into that look. So overall, I am extremely happy with this update. I think the M1 here fits so nice. I like the fact that you can pair all of these together. I have this set up now where I had the initial vision in my brain. I was trying to get this type of look when I did the 3D wall paneling in the new office. It just, the tech wasn't quite there. And now syncing all of these things together, this is what I had in mind. And it looks incredible in my opinion. So the M1 gets a huge thumbs up from me. In terms of, I mentioned this way earlier, just in case anybody was like, hey, he didn't talk about the length here. I didn't take this off and then measure it again. The top of the wood is 4 feet. The bottom is 4 feet. The sides are just shy of 3 feet. So we had 8 and then 6. This should be, just with that particular length, we're looking at 14 feet, and then it goes a foot on each side. So I was off with that. It is 16. It just feels like it should have fit better, and it didn't because I wasn't doing the calculation right in my head. So yeah, the 16.4, it's accurate. I'm just not doing the calculations for how big this was. I guess I would prefer if they had different lengths. So that's a very specific length, 16.4 feet, instead of being like, hey, we have more options. You can add on. I could add another, the 6.5 feet. You could do another full 16.4, but it'd be nice to see if it was like, hey, we have a 15, a 20, a 25, a 30 that are all the same continuous piece that you could cut at that interval that you needed at. But like I said, overall, extremely happy with this product. I love the look of the new setup. I want to hear from you guys though. What do you think of how this all syncs together with the Dreamview Pro? Is there a specific mode that you prefer? The game mode versus movie versus part and all, saturation changes, things like that. I'm going to let the rest of this roll out now though, and I'm actually going to do a split showcasing my original setup split with this for the Infinite Journey video as well, so you can see just what this used to look like compared to what it looks like now with this different lighting effect also. I'm going to have a link for this in the description if you want to pick it up. If you have any questions about this, let me know in the comment section. If you guys like the video, hit the like button for me as it helps the channel out. If you want to continue to follow along with all my content, hit the subscribe button for me. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.